Sunrise in my eyes. My rock sweeter, beat the one I love. I don't know how, don't know why, I've been toasting all my life. Oh, it's sweeter. I've been toasting all my life.
Welcome to Phillip Island, Victoria in Australia. What a setting we have for this great sporting contest, the Little Penguin Sea to Dune race. Nervous moments always as they gather on the beach, the tension mounting, and away they go. There's the defending champion, wearing his familiar navy blue and white, great waddling style. Another pre-race favourite though, losing touch with the pack. Maybe that's why. A few too many fish in the day's feeding. There's a familiar face, Skip McIntyre, 8 times a champion back in the 90s, a very successful coach now, keeping a keen eye on proceedings. This the leading group, 1 or 2 still able to put on a show for the camera, others just ploughing straight over it. Some resorting to shortcuts. Sad that cheating has crept into this beautiful sport. The judges will have a look at that. But up at the front, the pace is relentless, closing in on those sand dunes that will offer a bed for the night. The fatigue starting to tell. Who's got the finishing kick up on the outside? What a turn of pace from that one, whichever one it is. No answer from the rest, and he takes victory. What a win. There we are, into the Burrow, building an extension with his winnings, and back tomorrow to try and defend his title here on Phillip Island.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to the final night of live Penguin TV, at least for our every night streaming. This will be our final night. We do have 2 more shows to go this year, so it's not quite done yet. But I do want to say a big welcome to any new viewers who might be tuning into our final night, and a very big welcome back to all of our return Waddle watchers who seem to be watching almost every single night. I got to meet a Waddle watcher last night who says she tuned in basically every single night except for the one night that she came to see our Penguins live in person. She did hold up a sign on the stream last night, which was pretty special. It was a very touching thing to do. I very much appreciate that. And I appreciate all of you water watchers tuning in every night to see our penguins. My name's Steven. I'm going to be your host tonight. And joining me this evening, we have the wonderful Tom. Come say hello, Tom.
Hi everyone. 1,071 penguins last night, so still pretty good numbers. It can be busy, it can be quieter. I'll be keeping an eye on the YouTube questions, so keep them interesting for our last night, and we'll pass a few on. We can't answer all of them. On Facebook, we do have staff sort of following up within 24 hours, so have a good night everyone, and we'll speak to you later.
Thank you, Tom. So put your questions through on YouTube and Facebook. We'll do our best to answer them live on the air. But tonight, because it's my last night streaming, I'm going to get a little bit silly tonight, and I'm going to be saying lots of really silly penguin jokes throughout the night. So I hope to cause a few groans this evening. I hope to cause a few giggles and some guilty chuckles. It's going to be a punny evening tonight. So I'm going to start it off with what is a penguin's favorite type of pasta? Penguini. Penguins are a big fan of penguini, and yeah, that's the type of quality we're going to be having tonight with our jokes, ladies and gentlemen. So stay buckled in. It's going to be a wild ride. Now, tonight's going to be hopefully another special night. Our penguins are in the breeding season, and there's quite a few chicks in the colony. Still, some of our penguins are on eggs, so we should hopefully see some reasonable numbers of penguins crossing the beach tonight. And as I was scanning around with the camera earlier this evening before the stream started, I did notice a raft of penguins out on the ocean, and they looked like they were getting ready to come home. So I'm going to pan across and keep your eyes open for any penguins that might be on the water's edge. Now, for any new viewers tonight, we are going to be watching the smallest species of penguins in the world crossing the beach on their journey home. They're called the little penguin because they are only 33 centimeters tall, about 1 kilogram in weight, and they're already here on the water's edge. Look at that, getting ready to come home. It's a little bit overcast tonight, so penguins are arriving a little bit earlier than last night. Maybe they still have to cross the beach. They haven't had an official start to our penguins crossing yet, but I have no doubt that Elizabeth, who is counting our penguins tonight, she'll be keeping an eye on this waddle of penguins crossing the beach and making sure she doesn't miss them before they do finally cross. Oh, fantastic. So no need to wait. The action's already starting. Oh, and there they go, back into the water. Of course, so that's why we don't start the official start of our penguin count until the penguins have crossed a point of no return on the beach, because what just happened there is our penguins may have seen something scary. A bird might have flown overhead, or a shadow may have spooked them. 100 different reasons for why the penguins might have been frightened and run back to the safety of the water. And one of the main reasons is it's still quite bright outside, and our penguins are only going to cross the beach under the cover of darkness. So just be patient, ladies and gentlemen, and our penguins will start crossing the beach when they're ready. Let's see if I can get that camera into focus for you. Ooh, almost. There you go. Lovely. So as I said, I'm going to be telling hopefully lots of silly jokes tonight. So bear with me while I get through them. I had to make a list because I know a few jokes. I have several jokes that are in my repertoire, but I had to really go digging in my memory to try and recall all of the bad jokes I like to tell here. Now, our penguins who are out on the ocean, they decided to come home this evening, but they don't always come home. Our penguins can sleep overnight on the ocean, no problem. And not that they sleep the entire night on the ocean. They'll spend the night out on the ocean, and they'll have short little penguin sleeps while they're out there. And each sleep is about 4 minutes or less. And sometimes people ask me, what kind of fish do penguins eat at night? And the answer to that is they eat starfish. I'm going to be key. I think Tom is already starting to groan a little bit at these jokes. The true answer, penguins don't eat any fish at night. They use their eyesight to catch the fish. They can't see any, but if they were to eat a fish, definitely be a starfish. All right. Now our penguins are quite picky little eaters. there's only certain types of fish that they do like to eat, and they like to make sure that their fish are healthy. We did have a bit of a problem back in the 90s where one of their main sources of food, the pilchard, suffered from a bit of a disease that ran rampant through the pilchard population, causing unfortunate problems for our penguins. They wouldn't eat them. So pilchard is a large part of a penguin's diet, a little penguin's diet. And they lost a very big part of their diet when this happened until there was a big raft coming up at the back there. Lovely. Until we managed to help their pilchard population recover from the disease a little bit. And they did well. But people often ask me, how did the penguins know that a fish was diseased? And I like to say that there's a bunch of penguin scientists out there, and they did lots of studies. Little penguins did studies, and they put the fish in their little beakers to make sure if they were safe or not. All right, look at this lovely raft of penguins. We'll see if they do come home. I think there's a large enough number in this group that they'll probably start braving the beach crossing. But let's keep our eyes on them and see if they are brave enough to make that dash across the beach. So before the penguins really get underway, I do need to mention a few things. I do want to acknowledge the land where we are viewing the penguins tonight. This is Phillip Island, also known as Malal to the Bunurong. And I want to take the time to acknowledge them as the traditional custodians of the land and pay my respects to their elders, both past, present, and emerging. And I also like to take the time to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land where I am originally from, in Western Canada, the Nakota First Nations, and pay my respects to their elders as well. Because the land where I came from has certainly had a big influence on me as a person, just as I'm sure that the land where you originally grew up has also had a big impact on who you are as a person as well. So maybe put in the comments tonight again who the traditional custodians are of the lands where you are viewing from, and if you know it, where you grew up as well. Both are quite important to know, and they probably, both lands that you lived on have probably had quite a bit of an impact on who you are as a person. Now, some of you may have been lucky, you grew up in the same land that you are currently on right now. And some of you, like myself, may have traveled around a bit. And you don't have to travel too far to move into a different nation with different traditional custodians. So it might be interesting to learn about the differences between the nations of where you grew up. Oh, fantastic. So it looks like we've got a split in the groups. There's a large group at the back there, still hiding in the water. We're going to see if they'll join this front group. The ones here on the land look like they're looking over their shoulders saying, come on guys, join us. We'll be safer if we're together. And we'll see if any of them decide to start waddling their way across the beach. Maybe encouraging that slower group to hurry up and make sure they join them. Because penguins, they are waiting for the safety of numbers to cross this beach. The more penguins there are together, the safer they're going to feel. It's a very easy pickings for any potential late night birds of prey who might fly along if they see a single penguin out on the beach by themselves. That's not too hard for them to snag if they're feeling particularly peckish. But if there is a group of 100 penguins all together, that's quite a lot more intimidating for a bird of prey. So they're probably going to give it a pass, especially this late in the evening when the light levels are not so favorable to their eyes. All right, looks like they might be thinking about doing a real crossing right now. Last night our penguins finally crossed the beach at 9:06. I think I have the time right, give or take a couple of minutes. So it's about 9 o'clock right now. We're going to see if any of them decide to make their way across the beach a little earlier tonight. And while we're waiting to see if the penguins make up their minds, do we have any questions so far tonight, Tom?
We do have a question, but we've actually got a joke as well.
Oh, great. You got a joke as well. I love it.
Where does a penguin go to get its feathers fixed?
Oh, where does a penguin go to get its feathers fixed?
At a retail store.
At a retail store. I love it. Yes.
And that's the best one I've heard so far tonight.
That's a good joke. I love that one.
That was from Simone, and also Fluffy Monster says you need a laugh track.
I need a laugh track. I know. I feel guilty about laughing at my own jokes. Don't worry, I am laughing on the inside. I find my jokes hilarious.
And we do have a proper question.
Oh, we do have a proper question as well. Lovely.
Sue says, do you clean up the seaweed?
Do we clean up the seaweed? That is a lot of seaweed that we get on our beaches. And I'm going to zoom out to show you that no, we definitely do not clean up the seaweed. Now you can see if you've been watching over the last few nights, there was a lot more seaweed on the beach than there is right now. But we basically wait for the waves to come in, the tide to come in, and wash all the seaweed back out into the ocean. This is just a natural event. It takes care of itself. There's no need for us to interfere in how nature works. It doesn't affect our penguins too much. I think the biggest problem seaweed causes is for our penguin counter, because it gets really hard to see our penguins waddling their way across the dark seaweed into the cover of darkness. So it's a very big challenge for our penguin counters, but that's all right. They'll manage. They don't really need our help to clear the seaweed. They'll do their best while the conditions are difficult, as we all do. Great questions. And I love the retail joke. I did not have that in my repertoire. Nor do I have, I think Jordan said a joke about a penguin earlier, so I don't have that one in my repertoire. But yeah, I'll make sure to get a few more jokes going throughout the night. I don't want to run through all my jokes in the first 5 minutes of the stream, but hopefully keep a consistent joke going throughout it. Now, as we're waiting for this group to get really determined to cross the beach, I want to invite you to take this moment to count how many penguins are in this group. You can't see all of them just yet. You can get the big, massive penguins right in the center there, but off in the corner, that corner, there's still some penguins joining them at the back. So it's really tricky, because that's going to be all one big group, I bet. I have no doubt that those penguins at the back are going to join this first group. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Ooh, good luck, Elizabeth, trying to count that group. I have no fear that she will do an excellent job. Elizabeth has been with us for 35 years?
Thereabouts.
They're about 35 years, about as long as I've been alive, really. And she's been counting the penguins for a very long time. There's nobody more experienced in counting our penguins than Elizabeth, so if anybody is going to manage a large group like this, she will just fine. And I always like to have a bit of a chat with Elizabeth before the stream and ask her how many penguins she's going to count. And she's always very optimistic. She says, I'm going to count at least 2,000 penguins tonight. Whether or not that's true, I can't tell you, but she's optimistic. And I have to say, so am I when I see this first big group of penguins crossing the beach. Good luck trying to count this, Waddle Watchers. Let me know what your best guess is in the comments. I still haven't heard over the radio from Elizabeth. Oh, there we go. Just heard from Elizabeth that we finally have a start to the penguin count. But she did just put a number over the radio, so let us know in the comments how many penguins you think there are. I'll make the announcement in just a minute. I'll give you guys a little bit of a chance, not a great chance, but a little bit of a chance to try and count how many penguins are in this group, because that is a big group. Wow, I wonder if she's counting that as two groups or one group. Now that's a tricky one.
Number from streaming, Elizabeth.
There we go. Oh, look at these penguins just flopping over the seaweed. Doesn't cause them too many issues, but they might stumble a little bit. They might trip over their own feet. Look at them go. How many is that? That's a really good start to the night. All right, they finally made it over onto these resting rocks on the sand dunes. And Tom, do you have a number for how many were in this first group?
323.
323 penguins in the first group. That's a fantastic start to the night. And last night, in total, we had 1,071 penguins, I believe. So that's already a third of our penguins have pretty much crossed that we had in total last night, just in the first group. Maybe Elizabeth is onto something. Maybe she knows something we don't know. She might be our penguin whisperer. She might have been having a chat with the penguins out on the sea, asking how many are coming home tonight. I think she's determined to win that chocolate bar that we have at the end of the night. Fantastic. Wow, look at these guys go. Whoa, bit of a tumble off to the left side there. Looks like a couple of penguins are in such a rush they jump down a cliff to make their way home. There's no rush, little guys. You've got all night to make it home. Oh, wow, fantastic. You usually don't see, we haven't seen this large of a group to start the night in quite some time. So hopefully this is a really good night to end the stream, our nightly stream on. And I have no doubt that come Christmas Eve, I believe Sky, I'm not sure who's joining Sky on Christmas Eve, but Sky will be here as an early present from Santa doing another live stream. So make sure you're tuning in Christmas Eve, ladies and gentlemen. You don't want to miss Sky. And we'll also have the last stream of the year will be on New Year's Eve. So make sure you're tuning in to both those nights. They're going to be 2 nights to celebrate. You can ring in the new year with the Penguins. Almost. I'm sure we won't be running the stream until midnight on New Year's Eve. I'm sure Sky will want to go home and have a bit of a celebration. But the Penguins will be coming in. Oh, there, look at those guys going. All right, see if I can follow them with the camera. They're way on your way home. Look at that waddle. I love watching those little penguin bums making their way up the Penguin Highway on a journey home. And as I said, it is the breeding season, so a lot of these penguins are on their way home for chicks. Some of them might still have eggs, and you never know, some of them might be trying for eggs still. All the types of activity in the breeding season. Wow, fantastic. All right. Swap back to my other camera and see if you can see any more large groups. Any questions while we're waiting, Tom?
Yeah, one from Purple Pit, which came through last night as well. Do the Bunurong have any penguin legends or any stories about the penguins?
Well, it's not really my place to share any stories of the Bunurong people. Those are their stories to tell. I can tell you a couple of things about the penguins. The Bunurong never used to eat penguins as a source of food. At least there's been no evidence of the Bunurong using penguins as a source of food. And the reason for that is penguins are not the tastiest of birds. In fact, they taste quite foul. The first Europeans that used to come to Phillip Island, the seal hunters, they used to be catching seal, use them for the oil and trade as well, as he used to do in history. And they found these lovely birds that were easy to catch on land. And of course, when you're moving to a new land, you're looking for new food to eat. So they thought, rather than talk to the Bunurong and figure out, maybe these guys know what they're doing when they're not eating them. They must be not too smart not to eat these penguins. They're so easy to catch. They must be delicious. So they cooked them up and they promptly vomited because these penguins are incredibly oily. So oily that you just throw up as soon as you put them in your mouth. So no, the Bunurong, they knew better. They knew not to eat these penguins. Not to use them as a source of food because they are, as I said, a quite foul-tasting bird. And that was an impromptu joke right there, ladies and gentlemen. I wasn't planning that one. I did not have it on my list of penguin jokes tonight. Speaking of penguin jokes, I've got another one for you guys. So when the penguins go out into the ocean in the morning, they always leave under the cover of darkness like they do in the evening. They're always coming home to land under the cover of darkness for the safety of it. In the morning, when they've spent the day on land, or the night on land, maybe a couple of days on land even, they go back to the ocean and they are seabirds. They love the ocean very much. And so they always give the ocean a bit of a friendly huck to say hello. But the ocean never says anything, it just gives them a little wave. I really do need that laugh track, I think, Tom. I should have thought to bring one on my phone tonight. That would have been great. But that's all right. I have a feeling they would have canceled my show anyways if I did bring a laugh track. All right, another group. It looks like we're having really good numbers tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So I need to introduce who I work for as well. I work for the Phillip Island Nature Parks, and the Live Penguin TV is brought to you by the Phillip Island Nature Parks, of which the Penguin Parade is a part of. But we also have the Koala Conservation Reserve and Churchill Island, and we do encourage you to come and visit us on Phillip Island. Regional Victoria definitely needs some help after the long lockdown we had here in Australia. So come and visit us on the island. Come say hello to me. Come say hello to Tom. Give us a friendly hug when you see us in person. We'll know exactly who you are if you do. And I've already had the pleasure of meeting one of our Waddle Watchers last night. It was fantastic. And I hope to see more of you in the near future, because I'm here, it feels like most nights I'm here. And I'm here to share my passion of the penguins with everybody who comes to see. But who knows, maybe I'll see you at the Koala Conservation Reserve. You may ask me, how come koalas aren't considered bears in Australia? And the easiest answer to that is they don't meet the qualifications to be a bear. I just love out the side of my eye. I can see Tom putting his hand on his head every time I tell a bad joke. It fills me with so much joy. Like I said, I warned him he's going to get some bad jokes this evening. And believe me, I've got a lot of bad jokes to share. All right, so I'm not seeing too much activity on the Penguin Highway, but maybe I've missed it. I'll just tune into these few penguins making their little way across. There's a penguin up on the hillside behind these penguins as well. We'll see if I can see these guys. Oh, perfect speed, guys. Don't go too fast. I'll keep you in the frame. Very considerate penguins. I love it. Oh, hello. What's going on over there in the corner? Something cheeky between these two. I'm not sure if I'll keep them in the frame. Was that a little bit of a fight? Well, last night I was lucky enough after the stream to head out onto the boardwalks. And my goodness, there's this one male penguin who's got his burrow right on the edge of the Penguin Highway. Farther beyond this camera, you won't be able to see it, unfortunately, tonight. But this male penguin is very aggressive, to say the least. And every single male penguin that waddled past his burrow, he'd come out and start picking a fight with them. Didn't matter if they were too close to his burrow or not. He felt threatened by every single male penguin waddling past his burrow. He picked a fight with every single one, and he was quite aggressive about it. Now, it's not always the best strategy, because a few years ago I saw a different male, I assume a different male, was in a different location, with that exact same strategy of trying to pick a fight with any penguin who got too close to his burrow. He was trying to protect his mate, his female partner in the burrow. And, hello, you just came up from the hillside. What are you doing down here? And so anytime a male would walk past, he would come and pick a fight with them, making sure that none of them tried to steal his lady friend. And my favorite thing that I saw that entire season was a skinnier male, a very smaller, slender-looking male, kind of snuck in above the hillside. Oh, there we go. He's going again. Wow. Settle down, buddy. There's no need to get that aggressive. I wonder, is that a male? It looks like a bit of a fight. I don't think that's feeding. You're getting a little too aggressive for a chick for sure, so I think that might be a territorial male. We'll have to see, though. Yeah, it waddled away. He's making sure he's staking his territory. But what I saw was one of those big males on the edge of the Penguin Highway picking a fight, and as soon as a group of penguins would waddle past, he'd pick a fight with one of the males in there, and they'd get into a big scuffle for a couple of minutes before that penguin would waddle away. And this penguin didn't realize that a younger, skinnier male kind of snuck in behind him, down about his burrow, jumped on top of his female friend, had a bit of fun, and then scurried off on the hill without him being any the wiser. He was too busy picking fights with the penguins that are around him. So you get all sorts of penguins here. You get the sneaky penguins, you get the overly aggressive penguins. They come in all different shapes and sizes here, and different personalities as well. All right. Love to see all these penguins. I'm going to see if there's any more. Oh, we got a silver gull here. I missed the group of penguins up on the Penguin Highway, sorry, but I do love these seagulls. Silver gulls is what we call them here. And you know that they are seagulls because they tend to fly over the sea. Don't get them confused with one of the gulls that flies over the bay. Those have a different name. Those would be called bagels. Wow, look at the size of this waddle of penguins coming up the beach. That is fantastic. Now, these penguins have spent all day out on the ocean, catching their food, trying to fill their tummies with whatever fish they can find. And now our penguins, they love pilchard. It used to be comprised about 60% of their diet before we had a bit of a disease run through. It's back to about 20% of their diet these days, very roughly. I haven't heard an updated number on that for several years. But it's starting to come back into their diet, which is fantastic to see. But they'll eat any fish that's small enough for them to swallow whole. They'll eat squid, usually smaller squid, and they'll even be known to eat sea jellies. But our penguins aren't always interested in eating squid. Sometimes they like to make the squid laugh out on the ocean. And if you want to know how a penguin makes a squid laugh, it gives him tentacles. How many was in this group, Tom?
163.
163 in this group. That's fantastic. Wow. Really good numbers. I'm glad we're ending on a strong note. I was kind of worried maybe we'd get a lower number tonight, maybe only 500 penguins crossing the beach, which is still a lot of penguins, but when you're used to seeing 1,000 penguins every night, then you might get a little disappointed by only 500 penguins. Wow, such good numbers tonight. This is just fantastic. I heard Linda, who's helping Elizabeth count on the other end of the beach, she just saw 100 and I think it was 10 penguins cross the beach on her end, which is a really good size over there as well. Fantastic. So the breeding season's well underway. These penguins are coming home to feed their chicks, and that's exciting news for us. We love when the breeding season's a really big success. It means our population of penguins here is thriving, it's doing really well, and the food is just abundant out on the ocean. Now, we can give them a safe place to call home here on Phillip Island. That's our main motive here for protecting our penguins, to give them a safe place to call home on land. And they should thrive on their own. We have no control out on the ocean, so as long as conditions are favorable on the water for them, they'll keep coming back here in really good numbers. And tonight's no exception. They're coming back in large numbers. Oh, fantastic. Waddling their way around. I'm going to look around and see if I can spot any chicks. Keeping my eye on the Penguin Highway, I see a small group heading along on the Penguin Highway. If I don't see any chicks in the colony, I might swap over to those guys. I don't know if that one's a chick. It looks like an adult to me. It'd be an older chick at the very least. I know these two are chicks because they've been here for the last few weeks, but they've now started to look like adults. And while I see this group, I got a lovely waddle of penguins coming up on the Penguin Highway. Fantastic. See if I can keep up with you guys. Ooh, you guys are in a big hurry tonight. They're really eager to get home. They're probably trying to rush past this a really aggressive penguin that lives over here. Let's see if any of them get pounced by the testosterone-fueled male that tends to live in this area. Don't get too close to his burrow. He might come out and have a bit of a go at you. There we go, waddling their way along the highway. Now these penguins, they might have to walk almost 2 kilometers to get home. Oh, there's that aggressive male. Now, I thought he'd be making an appearance. The luckier ones will have the beachfront property, and I have to say the luckiest ones tonight are going to be the ones who don't have to deal with this aggressive male on the highway tonight. If they manage to sneak around him without getting pecked half to death, they'll be doing all right. Now, I wouldn't worry too much about our penguins when they do get into a fight. While it does look quite intense and serious, they're not really aiming to kill each other by any stretch. It's just a bit of a show of dominance. So have no fear, it's all part of nature. Just a couple of more penguins waddling their way along the highway. I'll swap back to the babies here and see if mom and dad are making their way home. These babies should be ready to go anytime now. Looks like they've lost all of their baby down feathers. So who knows, maybe mom and dad aren't going to come home anymore to feed them. They might get one last feed, maybe a couple more. But if mom and dad stop coming home right now, their feathers are waterproof right now. They're ready to go into the ocean. Depends how much of a head start in life mom and dad want to give them. Want to get them up to a healthy weight and size so when they're learning to fish out on the ocean by themselves, they've got the best chance at survival. Alrighty. So the penguins are not overly fussed about sitting on the resting rocks, but while we're watching him preening here, do we have any more questions, Tom?
We do have a question. Jason would like to know if I've got any bad jokes.
Oh, great. Do you have any bad jokes, Tom?
I've got funny stories and funny jokes.
Lovely. Well, let's hear a funny story and a funny joke. Those are the best.
One question we do get on a lot of tours and talks is whether we recognise the individual penguins. And in the 14 years I've been here, we've had a couple of good exceptions. One year we had the biggest, fattest chick anyone's ever seen. And he was so big when he chased his parents for food, the ground was shaking. We called him Baby Huey, after the old cartoon character. That's Huey. So Google it and check it out and you'll see what we're talking about. When the older chicks are older, they have big furry backs, or covered with fur, and nice blue feathers on the back, big furry collar. We had an older chick with an infection on the head, so it was bald, and it was the ugliest looking penguin I've ever seen. And I gave him the nickname Uncle Fester out of the Gaddens family, so you don't need to look that one up.
Lovely. Thank you, Tom. I'm glad Tom's got some good jokes. He's got some of the best stories we have around here, too. Oh, fantastic. All right. So I do love watching these penguins socializing here on these rocks. Well, these aren't on the rocks. The rocks are typically back here, but it seems like there's so many of them that they're resting in a couple of spots to socialize. And I know Jordan and Megan, they love to call this the salon where they stop off. I like to call it the pub on the way home from work. Do a bit of preening of them feathers and a bit of socializing, sharing stories when they're out in the ocean. Did you see the size of the fish I caught today? Sharing a bit of gossip before they make their way home. And sometimes, I like to imagine conversations they have. Do you have any chapstick I can borrow? And he's like, maybe. It'll cost you $1 if you want to use it. He says, I don't have any money, but you can put it on my bill. Oh, the camera's definitely gone out of focus there. I think my joke was so bad, the camera just went cross-eyed on me. Oh, there we go. Wow! Look at the size of that group. We usually don't see groups this big this late into the count, but, we can do, of course. But that's a nice size group. I wonder if that's the biggest one we've had yet. Well, maybe not. That 300 group might beat that one, but what a great night to be watching the penguins, ladies and gentlemen. See if I can watch them scurrying over this seaweed, see if any of them trip over their own feet. I think there's some excited people on the Penguins Plus stand. They might be drop kicking the mast light tonight because it tends to be shaking a bit right now. Wow, look at the size of this group. Oh, come on, camera, you can get these guys into focus. There's enough of them in there. All right, you can focus, camera. Come on, do it for me. Almost in focus. That's so close to being into focus. Come on, you can do it. Looks like that might be the best focus I can get right now. Oh, it's really struggling to get this camera in for you guys, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really sorry about this. I'm just doing my best. Well, I think somebody might be leaning on that mast light. It keeps tending to shake a bit. Do you mind giving Rachel a bit of a radio and asking her if anybody's drop kicking our mast light, knocking it out of focus?
It's on the Rachel.
Just see if anybody is doing that, because you never know. There are people on the stands now, so they might be just leaning against the pole, trying to get comfortable and not realizing. But that's all right. Tom will give a bit of a radio to our ranger down there to see if we can stop it shaking so much, because this is the last stream and we want to make sure it's a good one for you. Yeah, so again, I like to say I like to imagine the conversation that these penguins have while they're in these groups, and you never know what they hear. I heard one of the penguins say that they saw something underwater. A penguin was diving underwater, and he saw something twitching on the bottom of the ocean floor, and he was twitching, and something was twitching on the bottom of the ocean floor. He comes back to the resting rocks here. He asks his friends, "Did you see what that was?" His friends say, "Yeah, don't worry about that. It's just a nervous wreck." All right, Rachel Long's on it. She'll make sure that nobody's drop kicking our mast light. That way we've got a bit more of a stable camera and maybe a camera that will be able to focus. I was too busy paying attention to our camera and my poor jokes that I forgot to tune in to our Penguin Highway. We just had a nice group. Ooh, we got another big group right here. All on their journey home, getting ready to go home, feed their chicks. I'm not sure why they're rushing home to their chicks, because their chicks are going to be giving them a lot of grief tonight. They're going to be very hungry and they're going to be demanding food. And off they go. I wonder if we're going to see that aggressive male pop his head around the corner and come out and kick one of our penguins as he goes past. Oh, fantastic. We're already 20 minutes into the count. The time has just flown past. Well, that's all right. It's been a joy to share these penguins with you so far. We might go a little bit longer tonight because I still got quite a few jokes to go through. And I want to make sure I share as many of the jokes I can. I usually save one or two really bad jokes for my tours. But tonight I'm getting them all out as best I can. But I think this penguin that we have here on the right that's been coming out and being very aggressive, he's one of those socially awkward penguins. Hasn't quite realized how to socialize properly. That's all right. Some of our penguins are a bit socially awkward. I like to say they have a hard time breaking the ice. Oh, there we go. They keep coming. I might spin the camera around. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to move really quickly. You might get a little motion sickness while I do this. I want to see if I can spot any penguins coming from the other direction. Wow. Yeah, they're still coming. There's people on the stands watching these penguins waddling underneath their feet. Looking like they're getting a bit frightened by something. Doesn't look like they're frightened of the people on the stands. Might be something in the hillside. They got their eye on something and they're not in a hurry to keep going. Let's see if any of these other penguins push them along. It usually just takes a little bit of peer pressure from their fellow penguins. They'll continue on their waddle home. And so these penguins, they have a long walk ahead of them. As I said, they might walk almost 2 kilometers to get home. And if you were to come here to the Penguin Parade, you'd be able to follow these penguins along the boardwalk all the way to the top of the hill. And eventually they'll be moving away from our boardwalks because their pathways go a lot longer than our boardwalks do. And they'll get to the very top of the hill and these penguins will get to the road and they'll even cross the road. You might be wondering, why would a penguin cross the road? Well, that's to prove he's no chicken, of course. Ooh, there's a good zoom in on those penguin bums as they go past. Oh, they got a really good waddle going to them. That's fantastic to see. I always love how they got their flippers out to the side. It looks like they're just trying to do that for balance. And it might be true, penguins are not the most agile of birds on land. They do tend to trip over their own feet at the best of times. Oh, another group. Don't know if I'll be able to keep you guys in frame. Going right below me. Lots of penguin feet at least. Doing the little yochi across the highway. For those of you who are tuning into the Japanese stream, remember yochi is the Japanese word for waddle. It was one of my favorite terms. It was great watching Helen doing those Japanese streams. I speak enough Japanese to understand what she was saying, but don't speak it well enough to be able to do that myself. And I'll be honest, I never studied any penguin vocabulary when I was in Japan. It wasn't something that came up in conversation too often. All right, lovely little penguins going on their journeys wherever their home may be. Haven't seen the aggressive male out for a while, so who knows, maybe his wife came home and he's a little distracted for the time being. You know how men can be. All right, I'm going to swap back to our other camera on the beach. Tons of penguins around here. And I know I'm supposed to be winding down, but I still keep going. And I haven't even mentioned it yet, but if you wanted to donate to our charity organization, there is a link in the description, our Penguin Foundation, where the charity does support a lot of the conservation work we do here. It supports our wildlife clinic, and you can adopt a penguin, or you can adopt a variety of animals now. They've just changed the website, so you can adopt a bandicoot or a Cape Aran goose, whatever animal you want to adopt. I don't think you can adopt a rabbit or a fox, being that they're invasive species, but if you wanted to adopt one of our lovely native animals, you're welcome to do so. It is a symbolic adoption. We won't get to take the animal home, but the money you do spend will go towards helping those animals. So click the link in description. If you have a bit of spare change, we would love to have you adopt our penguins. I believe we also have our few things for sale on our Facebook page, where if you wanted to buy a cute little penguin plushie, probably won't get there for Christmas, but you could bring in the new year with a new penguin plushie. All right, I'm going to have a quick look back on the ocean to see if there's any more groups coming out. The numbers should be dwindling by now, but I am very much mistaken. There's another big group out there. These are a few of the latecomers coming home tonight, but there's quite a few of them. They're just fashionably late. Now, for all of you water watchers, you know how penguins keep in touch out on the ocean. They make a sound that travels really well over water. But there's another way that penguins can keep track of each other out on the ocean, a way they can keep in contact, and that's with sea mail. Oh, Tom's groaning on that one. Don't think he likes that one. All right, here's another silly one. What did the penguin say when it ate a clownfish? Oh, that tastes a little funny. I'm trying to remember which of these jokes I've already said, so if I repeat a joke, I'm sorry. I'm running through my entire repertoire of bad jokes, so if I do repeat them, apologies. But sometimes we get some really bad ocean conditions out here, and the waves can really crash around, causing a bit of havoc for our penguins, bashing them on the rocks, and I like to imagine they get a little seasick from time to time. What do you think a seasick penguin would say to his friend? No, they wouldn't say anything, they'd just huck. All right, I'm desperately trying to get through all my jokes, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm going to do a quick fire of a bunch. What kind of nutrients do penguins need to stay healthy? Vitamin C. What do you call a penguin that's at the North Pole? Well, they'd be lost. So sometimes you might see a penguin. Oh, what's that there? A little, oh, it's a ricali. A little native water rat. No threat to our penguins. I can't get him into focus. You just see a black blur running around our penguins. So that's just a little water rat. You often see them swimming through our streams when the tide is, when the rainfall's been really going strong. And we got the creek running. You'll see them swimming through our little streams, the little ricalis, very cute. Sometimes they get a group of them just playing out in the water, which is a lot of fun to watch. All right, just a few minutes to go, ladies and gentlemen, before we're going to wrap up our final stream. I do have a few other messages to go through before I do finish all my jokes, or after I finish all my jokes. But yeah, there's one night when we saw a penguin waddling up the beach, and it found a turtle that had flipped on its back that was stuck. Of course, the penguin couldn't give the turtle a hand, but it did flip her over. Oh, I love these groans from Tom. He's doing his best to stay quiet while I'm saying these jokes, but he can't help himself. I did mention that our penguins do sleep out on the ocean as well. When they're spending the night on the ocean, even in the daytime, they can fall asleep out on the ocean. You might ask, where do penguins sleep on the ocean? Well, they sleep on a waterbed, of course. All right, I think that might be enough for the penguin jokes, the bad penguin jokes for the night. I do need to finish off by saying a big thank you for all of you for watching night after night. It is fantastic. I know Jordan did a very long segment where she thanked everybody who worked on the stream. She gave me a big thanks, she gave Tom a big thanks, and every single presenter and producer who works on it. And then she sent me a text forgetting about 20 other people that she forgot to say thank you to as well. But I want to say a big thank you to Jordan. She's been absolutely fantastic running these streams, and while she was saying thank you, she told a funny story, her favorite memory of each of the rangers who did the streams. And I got a story to share of you of Jordan, and I'm sure one of my favorite memory of hers is actually when she released that penguin live on Penguin TV. That was simply fantastic, wasn't it, ladies and gentlemen? I hadn't seen anything quite that close. I mean, I've released my own penguins here at the parade, but I've never seen anything quite like that with such good lighting and so well captured. That was a real special treat. So that's got to be one of my favorite memories of Jordan, being able to do that and having the wherewithal while you're dealing with an injured penguin with an entanglement to think, maybe I could put that on camera so everybody gets to see him. That's just superb on Jordan's behalf. And I love that we've called that little penguin Jordy after Jordan. That's, I think, a really cute name. But my favorite memories of Jordan is sometimes I get to be the team leader here, running the parade, making sure everything stays organized. And Jordan does a lot of the tours. We have this one tour called Ultimate, which is our longest tour. It's a very special tour where you get to go to your own private beach. No lights on that beach. You get night vision goggles and watch the penguins crossing the beach really in nature. There's no barriers between you and the penguins. It's a very special tour. And it's our longest running tour. And the Ultimate tour is always the last ones to come back at the end of the night. And usually everybody else is wrapping up. Retail is packing up at the end of the night. And we're getting ready to go. And of course, as you know Jordan from her streams, she likes to talk. And she's always the latest person to come home for her Ultimate Ranger tours. Now, she's never too late that she's running completely over time and unacceptable levels by any stretch, but she definitely likes to chat as she's doing those tours. So those are my favorite memories of Jordan's. Wondering, oh, geez, where is she? I've been waiting for a while. I wonder if she's going to show up. And then I see her walking back with a group of 10 people all laughing their heads off at her stories. And then I think, you know what? They've had an amazing night. That's a pretty special one. So that's my favorite memory of Jordan, the way that she goes above and beyond every single night, whether it's on the live stream or for her tours. That's just fantastic. And before we really do sign off, I also want to say a big thank you for all the work that the behind the scenes people have done. So we've got Jeff, who has been really, this is his baby project. He's the one who's organized all of this. We've got Rolly, who's in our marketing department as well. He's done a lot of the legwork of getting this out into the press and all that. We have Sophie. She's the one who's really focusing on the Facebook pages and putting all those interesting posts and trying to keep things engaging after over 100 nights, which is fantastic. She's our go-to person if we need to change the start times and everything. It's a lot of work that she does behind the scenes that makes this almost run smoothly every night. And we've also got George, who's in charge of all of our cameras. So these wonderful cameras, George helped to source and set up. We even got the new microphone, and we even updated and improved cameras towards the end, which is just fantastic. And Tully, he's our IT specialist. Our first night, we had, I think, sound issues where we weren't transmitting sound when we had about 700,000 or 800,000 people watching. Nobody could hear us. And he managed to sign in remotely, fix all of those problems like the magician he is. And none of this would be possible without all these magnificent people helping us out behind the scenes. And they don't really get the praise that they deserve. Because you got people like me who just sit in front of the camera and tell silly jokes all night long. You got people like Jordan who have a hard time not talking. Don't worry, Jordan, we love you for that. You got people like Megan and Sky who just bring such dynamic personalities to their streams. But we're just telling stories about penguins and trying to keep the camera pointed at the penguins. It's pretty simple stuff for the most part, but getting all this stuff up and running consistently night after night with very few technical problems, now that is a very special thing. It takes a lot of work to do, and I just want to show our love and appreciation to all the staff who have really worked to make this a very special event that we've been able to share with you. And it's not over yet, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, tune in on Christmas Eve. Santa's coming early to the Penguin Parade. He's bringing Sky and a producer with him. I can't remember who's going to be producing with Jordan that night. But it should be a fantastic evening. You can ring in Christmas with Sky and the Penguins, and New Year's Eve as well. I think Sky is coming back on New Year's Eve. She cannot stay away from the live stream. She loves it so much. I think she'd want to do this every single night if she could. But I do want to say a big thank you for tuning in night after night after night after night. Some of you 100 nights in a row, which is absolutely ridiculous, but we love you for tuning in. It's been so amazing to share this with you. And I have to say, I truly hope we do see you all on the boardwalks in the near future. We'd love to share our stories with you in person. and maybe tell you a few more terrible penguin jokes. I think I might have a couple of more up my sleeve, but I'll save them for you when you come and say hello to me in person next time. All right, we're going to be signing off, and hopefully we'll see you again on Christmas Eve. And Tom, do you want to say goodbye to everyone?
Yeah, good night, everyone. Wishing you and your family Merry Christmas, safe Christmas, or a happy holiday season if you don't celebrate it. And all the best for 2021. It can only be better than this year, as we all know. And look forward to next year. As Stephen said, we'll be on the boardwalks pretty heavily and the stands pretty heavily over the next few weeks. It's one of our busiest times of the year, despite restrictions. We love meeting and chatting to the visitors and answering questions. So if you see us, come up and say hello. And all the best.
Yeah. All right. So thank you so much again, ladies and gentlemen. Have a lovely Christmas and New Year's. And I really do hope we see you soon. Take care.